Right, Rangers fans. The dust still has not settled after that painful afternoon that saw Rangers crash out of the Scottish Cup against Celtic. It was one of those matches that leaves a sour taste long after the final whistle, and not just because of the result on the pitch. The scenes that followed, with pitch invasions and chaos spilling into the stands, have only added to the frustration surrounding the whole situation. Neither side covered themselves in glory there, and it was the sort of behavior that only drags the game down. Supporters are meant to be the heartbeat of football, but when things cross that line, it reflects badly on everyone involved. But if we are being honest, the bigger issue for Rangers is not what happened in the stands. The real concern lies in what keeps happening on the pitch whenever the club reaches a moment that truly matters. Time and time again, this team finds itself in a position where there is an opportunity to push forward, to take a step closer to reclaiming the level Rangers supporters expect, and somehow it slips away. That defeat felt less like a single bad day and more like another chapter in a frustrating pattern that has haunted this squad for far too long. For many supporters, that match almost felt like the moment the season quietly died. The league still exists mathematically, of course, but deep down most fans recognize the same warning signs appearing again. Whenever Rangers get close to something meaningful, whenever there is genuine pressure and expectation, the team struggles to handle it. The mentality simply does not look strong enough. There are moments where the football can be sharp and exciting, moments where you think the team is finally turning the corner, and then when the stakes rise, everything begins to crumble. That mental fragility is one of the biggest problems inside this squad right now. Rangers need players who thrive under pressure, players who demand the ball when the stadium is holding its breath. Instead, too many of these big matches have seen individuals shrink rather than step forward. You cannot build a winning side without that steel, without that hunger to take responsibility when it counts. Of course, mentality is not the only issue. Quality also plays a massive role, and recruitment over recent seasons has left serious questions hanging over the direction of the squad. Several signings simply have not delivered the level that Rangers require. In domestic football especially, the intensity of the league demands players who can cope physically as well as technically. Too many times the team has looked lightweight or hesitant against opposition that should realistically be manageable. Looking back at that cup match, there were a few players who at least walked away with some credit. To me, Timmins showed real effort and commitment during his time on the pitch. Dujon Sterling was outstanding at right back, full of energy and aggression, and when he eventually went off, the team clearly lost something important. The structure weakened, the drive disappeared, and Celtic suddenly looked far more comfortable. Mikey Moore also brought a spark when he was involved, showing the kind of direct attacking intent that Rangers have often lacked this season. Chukwueze, when he came on, also gave a glimpse of positivity. He moved the ball quickly and tried to inject some urgency into the attack. But beyond those few moments, it was difficult to point at many performances that truly stood out. Too many players drifted through the game without imposing themselves. Ryan Naduri, for example, looked exactly like what critics have warned about. There were flashes of movement, but not enough authority in his play. When you are leading the line for a club like Rangers, supporters expect a presence, someone who constantly threatens the opposition defense. Instead, there were long spells where he barely influenced the match. Then you look at Isef Chimitai. To be fair, he has found the net at times this season and has shown glimpses of potential. But football at the highest level often comes down to key moments, and he had two massive opportunities in that game. Both slipped away. For a striker at a club chasing trophies, those are the chances that must be buried. You do not always get a third opportunity in matches of that magnitude, and Rangers paid the price for that wastefulness. All of this points towards something that feels increasingly unavoidable. When the summer arrives, Rangers are going to need a serious rebuild. Not just minor adjustments or a couple of signings around the edges, but a genuine overhaul of the squad. The club has to be ruthless in evaluating who truly has the mentality and quality to push Rangers forward. There has already been plenty of talk among supporters about the future of manager Danny Roll. Some voices are demanding change immediately, but that reaction feels premature. Roll is still learning his trade and has inherited a squad that clearly has deep-rooted problems. Managers need time to implement ideas, reshape squads, and correct mistakes from previous recruitment cycles. That does not mean he has been perfect. There have been decisions that puzzled supporters, and the substitution involving John Souter raised plenty of eyebrows. At a moment when Rangers needed pace and urgency, many expected to see Bojan Majowski introduced to stretch a tiring Celtic defense. Instead, the change went in another direction, and the attacking threat never truly materialized. It left many fans wondering whether the striker still has a genuine future at the club. Moments like that highlight the difficult situation the manager finds himself in. On one hand, he is trying to compete in huge matches right now, but on the other hand, he is working with players who may not fit the long-term vision. Balancing those realities is never easy. What cannot be ignored any longer is the growing belief among large sections of the support that several long-serving players may have reached the end of their Rangers journey. One name that keeps surfacing in those discussions is James Tavernier. For years, he has been a central figure at the club, producing goals and assists from right back and leading the team as captain. But football moves quickly, and the demands of that position are relentless. In that cup match, he came on and delivered a couple of decent balls into the box, yet defensively, there were still moments of vulnerability. Then came the penalty miss, a moment that immediately shifted the pressure away from Celtic and drained belief from the Rangers' side. When your captain steps forward in those situations, supporters hope for composure and authority. Instead, it became another painful memory in a series of high-pressure moments that have not gone Rangers' way. When conversations turn toward the future of this squad, the reality is that Rangers cannot avoid some difficult decisions. Sentiment has carried certain players for a long time, but football at this level cannot operate on memories of past contributions. The club needs to ask whether the players currently wearing the shirt still have the legs, the hunger, and the consistency required to compete across a full season. Too often in recent campaigns, Rangers have looked like a team capable of brilliance in flashes, but unable to maintain the standard needed to dominate Scottish football. Take the goalkeeping situation as another example of a position that might soon face scrutiny. Jack Butland has produced some excellent saves since arriving, and there have been matches where his shot stopping has kept Rangers alive. But alongside those moments, there have also been costly errors. Every goalkeeper will make the occasional mistake, yet when those errors start appearing too frequently, it raises serious concerns. The disallowed goal in the recent match might not have counted in the end, but it was another moment where many supporters felt the situation should have been handled far better. Distribution has also been an ongoing weakness, and in the modern game, a goalkeeper is expected to contribute to building attacks, not simply react to shots. Moving further up the pitch, the midfield area also feels unsettled. Mody Amande has had matches in Europe where he looked comfortable on the ball and capable of controlling tempo. Yet in the domestic game, he often appears to struggle with the physical demands. Scottish football is relentless, and if a player cannot cope with the strength and aggression of opponents week after week, they will constantly find themselves under pressure. Too many times he has been muscled off the ball or caught in dangerous positions, and that lack of authority in the center of the park becomes a serious problem when Rangers are trying to dictate matches. Theo Asgard has also divided opinion among supporters. Technically, he can keep possession ticking over, but the pace of his play has frustrated many who feel Rangers need far more urgency. There have been matches where the ball moves sideways and backwards repeatedly, draining momentum from attacks. Supporters in Ibrox want to see bravery and forward-thinking football, especially when facing teams who sit deep and wait for mistakes. When creativity becomes predictable, the opposition quickly settles into their defensive shape. Then there is Rabbi Matondo, a player who arrived with enormous expectations because of his pace and potential. At times he has shown glimpses of what he can offer, but those moments have never become consistent enough. Injuries and inconsistency have limited his impact, and the sense now is that both player and club might benefit from a fresh start elsewhere. Rangers need wide players who can influence games week after week, not just produce occasional bursts that fade before they can truly change the direction of a season. JD Gassama is another name that sparks debate. On his day, he can look electrifying, capable of beating defenders and creating chaos in the final third. But football is also about composure and reliability. The missed penalty in that cup match only added to the perception that his temperament can fluctuate dramatically. One week he might look like a match winner. The next he seems completely disconnected from the rhythm of the team. That unpredictability makes it difficult for any manager to build a stable attacking structure. Perhaps one of the most frustrating situations involves Nicholas Raskin. Not long ago, he was being discussed as one of the brightest midfield talents in the squad, a player who could potentially attract attention from larger leagues. There were rumors linking him with moves abroad, particularly with clubs in England keeping an eye on his development. But performances in several major matches have left supporters questioning whether he has truly pushed on. In the recent defeat, he struggled to impose himself, passes going astray and influence fading as the match grew more intense. For a player with international ambitions and talk of big transfers, those are the moments where you must stand out. Instead, there were long spells where he appeared lost in the pace of the contest. Some fans wonder whether all the speculation about future moves might have affected his focus, while others simply feel he has not yet reached the level that was expected when he first arrived. The situation with the loan players adds another layer of complexity to the squad. Rangers currently rely on several temporary signings, and while loans can be useful in certain circumstances, building a team around too many short-term solutions can create instability. When a large portion of the squad might disappear at the end of the season, it becomes difficult to establish continuity or long-term identity. Mikey Moore is one lone player who has certainly caught the eye. Even in limited appearances, he has shown fearlessness, taking on defenders and bringing energy to the attack. Supporters have quickly warmed to his style because he plays with the kind of directness that lifts the crowd. Realistically, securing him permanently may prove impossible given his potential and the club he belongs to. But there is already hope that another loan spell could be negotiated. Scott Olsen, on the other hand, has struggled to meet expectations. When a player arrives with a significant reputation and a sizable price tag attached to their name, supporters naturally expect to see that quality reflected on the pitch. Yet there have been many matches where he has looked short of confidence, reluctant to take on defenders or drive forward aggressively. Rangers fans appreciate hard work, but they also want to see players who believe in their ability to change games. Injuries have complicated the situation around Derek Cornelius as well. There are flashes of potential there, moments where he appears capable of offering something different in the attacking areas. But fitness concerns always make clubs cautious when considering long-term commitments. Rangers need to see more consistent availability before making any serious financial decision regarding his future. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Shockwaves have begun to ripple through Ibrox after JPP confirmed a disciplinary punishment that could leave Rangers without one of their most influential figures. The decision, announced quietly but felt loudly across Scottish football, has quickly become the center of intense speculation among supporters and pundits alike. While the full details remain closely guarded, what is known is that Rangers will be forced to navigate a crucial moment of the season without the presence of their standout performer. The absence of such a key player inevitably raises questions about how the squad will adapt and whether the punishment could shift the balance in upcoming fixtures. Within the corridors of Ibrox, the mood is said to be one of frustration. Sources close to the club suggest that officials were caught off guard by the severity of the sanction. There is a growing belief among some supporters that Rangers have been dealt a harsh hand, particularly given the importance of the player involved. The individual at the center of the controversy has been instrumental in Rangers' recent performances, often acting as the driving force behind the team's attacking rhythm and competitive edge. Losing that influence, even temporarily, could disrupt the side's momentum at a delicate stage. Speculation has also begun regarding whether Rangers might challenge the ruling or seek clarification from the governing body. Club representatives have so far remained cautious in their public comments, neither escalating the situation nor fully accepting the narrative surrounding the punishment. Meanwhile, rival fans have been quick to debate whether the sanction is justified or whether Rangers truly have reason to feel aggrieved. Social media discussions and radio phone-ins across Scotland have turned the issue into one of the most talked-about stories in the sport. For Rangers supporters, however, the central concern is far more immediate: how the team will cope without its brightest star. In a league where margins can be razor-thin, Even a short-term absence can have significant consequences. Whether this punishment proves to be a minor setback or a defining moment in Rangers' campaign remains to be seen. What is certain is that the decision by JPP has added a fresh layer of drama to Scottish football, and the story around Ibrox is far from over. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.